Okay, so today our topic is choosing wisdom over rage and ruse. Um, when Pastor shared this topic with me, it was just one verse. But then the entire chapter 14, we're looking at Proverbs chapter 14, verse 17 today. It says, a quick-tempered person does foolish things and without self-control, and a person of wicked or evil schemes is hated. Okay? And the entire chapter of 14 talks a lot about both anger and ruse, okay? And that is something we're going to look at today throughout the message. So our topic is we are to choose wisdom over what? Over rage or anger and over ruse, okay? And we look at each of those points. So I would like to start with what is, rage or anger, or the two types of rage or anger we can see in the Bible, okay? And the person you should be a little more attentive. Right? Okay. So the types of anger we see is human anger and the righteous anger. Okay. When you look at human anger, it is arising out of perceived personal insult or mistreatment. So it's not actually mistreatment or insult or whatever, but it's perceived. So we already have it perceived, or we have a hurt and whatever the person is doing is hitting on that hurt. So we are reacting. So it's not actual. Okay. The second is it's arising from pride, selfishness, and self-centeredness. It's I, me, myself. That's why we can say, how dare they do this to me? Because the pride has come up, okay? And then it leads to sin, because one of the verses says, when you get angry, don't sin. So human anger almost always leads to sin. That's why these days when you take the paper, for something very silly, somebody has killed somebody. Or they have maimed somebody. Why? Because we have perceived some insult, okay, or disrespect, and our ego has come up, and with that blind rage, we have done something which in our normal senses we would not do. Okay? And then it is not based on full facts or information. They start something, and especially with parents, kids have this problem. They know which point to press and we will react immediately. They'll only start with something and we'll always you do this, that and the other. There is no full information over there, right? And it is reactive. So you're not even in control. It's like if you put the switch, light will come on or the fan will come on. It's like that. So if they press that switch, you will do an tandavam over there. And they know which switch to press, right? And it is held on for some time. You don't let that anger go. Why? Because your ego is in play. Your ego comes up, I will not forgive them. I've been seeing these small reels these couples put up, okay? They are just acting it out, but it will be like, oh, he did this. Pavam, I will go say sorry. No, why should I say sorry? This is the mind was going in their head. The other person also is like, no, she should come and apologize. No, he should come and the husband and wife only not talking to each other for 3-4 days, which is very stupid. But that's how human anger is. There is no rhyme or reason why you're angry. There is no backing to the anger. There's no data saying you can feel angry, and you hold on to it because of ego. But now anger is not wrong. And that's where the righteous anger comes. When you look at any emotion, right, whether it's jealousy, whether it's happiness, whether it's sad, as an emotional intelligence trainer, I say this, all emotions can be good or bad. You can say, oh, how can you tell me how being happy is good? Think of the person you don't like. This is the example I always give. You hate this person, or you don't like this person, or they've done something to you and you're angry or you're upset with them. And you hear that they had an accident and broke their bones, or just had a fracture. You're not going to say, oh, so sorry, so pavam, You're going to be like, hey, good, they deserve this. That is also happy, but that is a bad happy. Right? So if you're a human being, you will feel emotions, and all emotions are information to you. So when you normally feel angry, your body is telling you, or your mind is telling you, hey, somebody has overstepped a boundary or is being disrespectful to you. So all emotions are good. It's only where we use it, or how we use it and how we show it, that can make it good or bad. So that's how we should take any emotion in our body. So that's why. So you shouldn't say, oh, I should never feel jealous. No, you can feel jealousy, but it should not run your life. It should not rule your life. You should feel anger at some point of time. Okay? Somebody comes and insults you, or walk, like, my neighbor broke my wall. I can't stand there and say, oh, so, okay, it's okay, fine. We are neighbors, it's okay, you broke my wall. No, I have to go fight. And there it is good to be angry, because if I am not angry, then they're going to take over my land. Right? So there is a place for anger, and there is a place where you should not let anger rule your life. Again, even there, I can't let the anger rule my life. I should feel angry at that point of time, take some action, and then have to come back to my normal state. Okay? And that is where we're looking at the righteous anger. This is what Jesus showed us. There were 2 times in the Bible it is recorded that Jesus got angry. One was in the temple, where the people had made it into a market, and they were also cheating people. And he got angry, saying, you've made my father's house into a den of thieves. Had they done the market properly, he wouldn't have said anything. He was angry because they were cheating people. And he said, this is not the house of worship. And then, second time was when the Pharisees or the teachers were being very stubborn and that was when he got angry with them. Okay, otherwise Jesus could have got angry for a lot of things, and he could have taken action against them. He had that much power, right? But he didn't. Okay, and that is where righteous anger comes in place. What is righteous anger? It is arising out of actual offense against God, or against you, or against other people, or nature, or living things. Someone, you go on the road, you see someone take a stone and hit a dog for no reason, you should feel angry. Because who else will fight for that dog than you? Okay? So, those are times you should be angry, but you can't go kill somebody because they threw a stone at the dog. That is where controlling your anger makes sense. Okay? It is not leading to sin. Righteous anger tells you something is wrong, something is, someone has overstepped a boundary or has done something they shouldn't, but that anger will not lead you to sin. Okay, it won't make you go kill that person, maim that person, do something stupid where you're put in jail. These days you're seeing that, right? Girls are getting married and killing the husband. I'm like, why get married? Every other day there is one. I'm like, okay, I have a son. I'm like, okay, I'm a little. Earlier it used to be the guys killing the girls. I'm like, okay, girls have also evolved. But it's very funny. Gender equality. What are we going for gender equality? I don't understand. But I can't understand that fact. Or the dowry deaths. Even now I don't understand the fact. Okay? But it is there. So it doesn't lead to sin. Right? So we should realize that anger, righteous anger will never lead you to sin. It will tell you that something is wrong. Okay? And then you have all the facts and information. You have it all, and you're making a informed action or a decision, or the anger is based on that. So even if someone comes and says no, you have facts to back you up, saying, hey, you have done this. Okay? It's not reactive but responsive. What is the difference between reactive and responsive? Reactive, you have no control. You put the switch, light comes on. So the anger is like that. Whereas responsive is you are angry, you are controlled. You know this is how much I should show my anger and not more. Or this is when I should show my anger and not show it here. There are places you will show it, people to whom you will show it, and how much you will show it. That is responsive anger. Okay? And you don't hold on to it for long, because there is no ego in play. So you will feel angry at that point. You will not hold on the grudge. You will not hold on the bitterness. You will not hold on saying, I will not forgive that person. I will not. Okay? And that is righteous anger. Because you don't see Jesus sitting and saying, oh, that fellows, I will never forgive them. No, he shouted at them, and that was it over there. And even on the cross, he said, forgive. Okay? So the next one is we're looking at a short-tempered person. That's what this verse talks about. This verse talks about a person who keeps getting angry often. And he says that person is a fool, actually. Okay? That's how I love Proverbs. Because you're either intelligent and wise, or you're a fool. There are no in between. Oh, sometimes you're wise, sometimes no. You're either a fool or you're wise. And the choice is yours, right? So a short-tempered person, that means they get angry at the drop of a hat. For everything and anything there is a trigger, is a fool. That's what the Bible says, I'm not telling. Okay? Does foolish and stupid things. That's why you will go kill somebody. I know in some of these movies and serials, if someone is very angry, the thing way they'll show it is they'll go push everything down, whatever is there on tables and, vases and everything will fall. And I'll be like, twice I make you clean up that space yourself. You will never ever do that again. That's what runs through my head. Okay? And the destruction, because you have bought it, somebody else has bought it, if you bought it out of your own hard-earned money, you will not do it. But that's how people do. They actually do very stupid and foolish things. They act foolishly because they'll shout out things which in their normal senses they would never say. Okay? Or they will do things in their normal senses they will never do. I don't think any of us will suddenly take a knife and go and kill somebody. But when they're angry, they would have done it. And then they were like, I don't know how I did it. Why I did it, I don't know. What made me do it, I don't know. No, it was your anger. It was your thoughts that came during that anger. And it was not that one time. You'd been thinking about it for some time and that's how the action came. It was not a one-time thing. Okay? It is always a repeated thing. It's there subconsciously. We talked about 50,000 thoughts. So somewhere in the 50,000 thoughts every day, it was there. And then when the situation happened, that thought became paramount and you did it. Simple. You can't say, I don't know. Okay? You act without self-control. There is no self-control. Okay? How many of us, when we are very angry, not just throwing things around, you'll go eat. A lot of us are like that. We will go eat all sorts of things when we are angry. And then it will hit our health and why did I do that? Because we didn't have self-control. Okay? It can ruin everything. And they do things that they will regret. They will regret it afterwards. Either the words they have spoken or the action that they have done, they will regret it afterwards. It's very short-sighted because they're not looking at the consequences. They're looking at it only here. They're not seeing what's going to happen after that, or actually is it the truth, and so on and so forth, or what they're doing for relationships. They will use all sorts of words and things and then suddenly think why the other person's not being forgiving, why the other person's not talking to them, why they're angry. What did you do when you were angry? Okay? Is often alone, because verse 7 of Proverbs 14 says, leave the presence of a short-sighted fool. And one who's quick-tempered is the short-sighted fool. So you think of a person in your family or in your friend circle who's always angry and shouting and fighting with everybody. Will you want to be in their presence? No, you will walk away. They will be alone. They will be a loner. Okay? They have no understanding, has no understanding and loses from his lack of self-control. Verse 29 says that. When you are wise and you keep quiet, or you don't get angry so often, you have understanding and you are actually profitable. That's what verse 29 says. And then you get also the blessings of God. Whereas when you're a fool and you're short-tempered and everything, not only do people leave you, but you also might lose things. So you're breaking things in your house, it's your loss. You're not breaking it in somebody else's house. Right? So you're losing your own things. And that is a loss for you, and because of your lack of self-control. Okay? And it exposes and exalts their foolishness for all to see. Because they will say and do something so stupid, the entire world will be like, what's wrong with that person? Why are they being so foolish? Otherwise, they would have been so wise. But at that point of time, you will see how foolish they really are. Okay? And what is in their heart is made known. Because the verse says, right, out of the fullness of your heart is how you speak. So what is in their heart will come out when they're talking. Whatever they're telling you, they may not come back and say, I don't mean it. No, they actually meant it. Because it was out of the fullness of their heart they are speaking that. It was there in their heart. You can put a mask anytime you want, but when you're angry, all that is gone. Okay? What is in your heart will come out. So the short-tempered person is all this. Now you choose whether you want to be a short-tempered person. If you ask me as a teenager and little later in life, I was very short-tempered. And I've done most of these stupid things. I've not gone up to murder, but I've done a lot of these stupid things. Okay, and I think a lot of you can say that. But over time, I've even gone and caught collars of people. I can get that angry. I've caught people by the neck. I've not killed them, but I've caught them by their neck. Okay, and I fought for somebody else, not even for me. Okay, saying, how dare you do it? Now looking back, I'm like, how stupid I was. I'm glad that I've evolved. Okay, the Lord has worked in me. And now my friends ask me, who see me then, you're not getting angry? I mean, like, what's the use? That person's not going to change. Okay, what's the point of me getting angry? I might as well be at peace. So when I do get angry, that means it's something very, very genuine and it is really offensive. But even then, I decide what is the action I take. Okay, I'm not saying I'm totally okay. There are times I still do stupid things when there is an anger that threshold is gone above. But I'm not as short-tempered as I used to be. It's taken a lot of work of the Lord in me and me allowing Him to do it for me to move. But yes, you choose. The choice is yours. Do you want to say, oh, I'm always short-tempered? Or you want to say, no, I'm even-tempered, and when I do get angry, it's actually because it is valid. Okay? The next thing that I'd like to share is we look at rage and anger from a biblical point of view. What does the Bible say about all this? And there were quite a number of verses. So that means anger is something a lot of people have. God knew that we'll all be dealing with it. And even the Indian context or from general context, especially for men, you can't show sadness, you can't cry. These are all unmanly things. I'm not saying it, that's what the world says. So the only emotion that you guys legitimately can show is anger. So if we ask you what are you feeling, all you feel is anger, because that's the only legitimate feeling you can feel, which is very sad. Okay, and women are told, oh, you guys are always emotional, as if only we have emotions. Men also have emotions, only thing you're not allowed to show. Right? But beautifully, Bible says, hey, both of you are going to feel it, and anger is something, it is going to be there festering, but I will tell you, God tells us, I will tell you what to do with anger. Because there are times in the Bible, God has been angry. Right? He destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because they were unwilling to repent. Right? And He destroyed the whole place. Right? You look at, even when you go back to the short-tempered person, I would, biblically, if you see, the perfect example I can see is Moses. He knew he had to deliver his people. He went and killed an Egyptian guard, thinking he was setting his people free, and then he had to flee. Because that was his stupidity, that quick-tempered thing. Then he had to wait 40 years till the Lord mellowed him down and he could lead the entire Israelites out. Imagine, had he done it when he was younger, I don't think any of the Israelites would have crossed over. He would have killed all of them on the way. Whoever complained, he would have hit them on the head. The Lord had to work 40 years in him to mellow him down, to give him the patience, the long suffering he needed to bring the entire nation out. Okay? So, that is a perfect example I can talk about short-tempered maturing into, even-tempered or having a lot of patience. Okay? Now, when we look at the biblical view for rage or anger, right? Rage is an extreme of anger. Anger is the emotion we know. It starts with irritability and goes up to rage. Okay, there is a gamut of emotions that are there, and we're talking about all of it, right? From irritability to rage. Okay. Verse 14, Proverbs 14 itself, throughout when you read the entire chapter, not just verse 17, it says it's wise to choose to be even-tempered. That means the choice is yours. You can be quick-tempered, go into sin and do also stupid things, or you can choose to be even-tempered and not react, but respond. Okay? Galatians 5, 19 to 31. I'm not giving the full verses here. You can write these down and go study it at home. But it says the anger is an obvious work of the flesh. And it's equal to sexual immorality, idolatry, envy, drunkenness. So God is equating anger to all of these. Because all of these you're doing without your senses. Okay, when you're drunk, you just don't know what you're doing. There are people I know who have behaved really stupid. Sexual immorality, I don't have to talk about it. The Coldplay concert with all the memes going around where the CEO was caught with the CHRO is a perfect example. The entire world is talking about it. Right? The wife, and there are a lot of stories also coming up about it. So you're not doing things in your senses when you're sexually immoral, when you're having idolatry, when you're envying. And these are what are ruling your life. And anger is equivalent to that. James 1:19 to 20. It says, be quick to listen, slow to anger, slow to speak. Because when you're angry, you start speaking before you think. That's why we say think before you speak. When you're angry, that thinking doesn't happen. Because it's your, I like the way somebody called it, it's a monkey brain. Your prefrontal cortex is where you think in everything. The one that impulsively acts, is called the monkey brain. Not technical, but I liked it because the monkey will do things without thinking. And when we do it, we are going, it's like your monkey brain. Because that's the one that does impulsively, reactively, not responding. So if you can think, then you're using a prefrontal cortex, okay? And so think of the monkey brain every time. Do you want to be the monkey brain or you want to be a person, okay? That's a good way of actually centering yourself and saying, no, I want to be sane, okay? So the verse says, be slow to anger, quick to listen, slow to speak. For human anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. So think about it. So that's why we go to sin. That's why we are doing that. And we're showing people not love. Because God says love. Love your neighbor, love whatever. So when you're doing this, you're not accomplishing God's righteousness. Okay? And Matthew 5:21 to 26 says two things. Everyone who is angry with his brother or sister will be subject to judgment. That doesn't mean you can't be angry with them. You can. But if you go on holding on to it without forgiveness, not letting go of the offense, then you're held to judgment. Because they could be doing things like, they could come and fight with you for property, for other things. You should be angry at that point of time. But you shouldn't hold on to it as a grudge, like, the movies they have, for centuries they are fighting. You ask the family now, why? I don't know. They don't like that family. That's all. We'll kill people if we see them. For movie, it's fine. Real life, it doesn't work. And especially as Christian people, following the Jesus way, that we sang. We choose. It says we choose forgiveness. We choose to love. You hit me, I won't hit you back. I will love you. The verses were beautiful because that's exactly what Jesus taught us. He says, one hits you on one cheek, turn the other cheek. Who will turn the other cheek? We look at hitting them to death only these days. But God tells us my way is different. That's why God says, no, my thoughts are higher, my ways are higher. You have to come up to my ways and my thoughts. You can choose to be with the monkey brain and the rest of the world, or you can choose to move up into the way the Lord's asking you to do. And that's what that's what Matthew says. This was the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus has taught. He says, you will be judged. Okay? And then he says, don't angry. Do whatever is needed to be reconciled. This is paraphrasing. This is where he says, if you come to the altar with an offering and you have a problem with your brother, go and get it reconciled. He didn't say, go fight. He said, go get reconciled. Even if they are wrong, you go forgive, you go reconcile. You do everything that you have to do to reconcile. If they still don't, it's fine. You leave it to the Lord, but you should have done your part. And that's what the verse is saying, right? So that is Matthew chapter 5, okay? And then you go on to, it also says, be angry, but do not sin. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. So how long can you be angry? Before the night is over. Or the sun itself shouldn't go down. So even before night, you shouldn't be angry. Okay? And don't give in to the devil. Or give a devil an opportunity. Because when you're angry, you give the devil not just a toe hold. You open the entire door wide and say, walk in. Don't do that. Okay? Why? Because if you do that, he will sow seeds of bitterness. He will sow unforgiveness into your heart. He will sow negative, evil, wicked thoughts leading to wrong action. He will sow doubt. They don't love you. They don't care about you. They don't respect you. It would have been one action, that's it, but all this will come. He will sow suspicion. Again, one spate of activities that are happening in the newspaper that you see. He suspected the wife of infidelity, went and killed her. Not even proved. Human anger. No proof. Suspicion. Not only the wife, he killed the children also and himself. This is another spate happening. I'm just scared to open the newspaper these days. And I'm like, it's so easy to kill. You're not even thinking. And it's not even that they care about the person. They've just done it. Okay? It's just ego. All right, so that's what we're seeing. So don't give space for the enemy. And the last one we're seeing is Ephesians 4:31 to 32. Let all bitterness, anger, and wrath, shouting and slander. I love this because anger and wrath leads to shouting and slander. Because we do it. We put people down when we are angry. We go and say all sorts of things to the person and about the person, to the rest of the world. God beautifully put it here. We could have had only this as the whole message. But he says, not only, so the bitterness also comes. From bitterness is where your anger comes, and that leads to wrath or the rage. It's going to extremes. And your shouting and your slander. Because I don't know anybody who has not been angry who shouts. Right? They will always shout. Slander be removed from you along with all malice. So don't go into an extreme where you want to prove your point and you're right, that you go and malign the name of the other person. But be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving one another, just as God also forgave you in Christ. This is what God is telling us to be. As his children, he says, the rest of the world is going to be stupid. You please be wise as my children. Okay, this is the biblical view for anger. Then we move on to the next part. So one is anger. So your choice is whether you want to be short-tempered and be a fool, or you want to be wise and be calm. Okay? The next is ruse or wicked schemes. Ruse means a trick intended to deceive someone. So it involves deliberate planning. It requires forethought. You have to be thinking about how can I con this person. It requires intention to deceive. Okay, this sounds like a law book, but it's also intended to harm or cheat the person. Okay, and you've spent a lot of time on this, and definitely there is no love, because if there is love, you will not want to cheat the person. You would not deliberately plan to put the person down or whatever, and there is only wickedness and evil. Okay, and again it is short-sighted, because you're someone telling a lie to get out of a situation. They're saying it just there. They're not thinking about what it's going to do through the relationship. If they have found out a liar, how people will treat them, will they have respect? Nothing they're thinking. They are only looking at it short-sighted. You can make movies, like Harshad Mehta was like a big thing, but he died in prison, right? There are a lot of others. One more Parekh, and then recently also we've had a few people who've done scams. It looks like, oh wow, they've done all this and they've become very rich. But what kind of a life are they leading? And they will face the consequences of their actions. It might look like they're not. Nobody's going to come and say, oh, this is what I'm facing because I swindled. They will only show a life that is, great. These days, nobody has, they don't have money, only they put up one big thing that they're living a big life. Guy who swindled millions, think about it. Okay? But they will definitely face the consequences, and they need to think about the consequences if you're looking at ruse and wicked schemes. Because you're always looking to cheat somebody or kill somebody or, put them down. And there is no love there. Okay? That is the ruse or wicked schemes. Again, look at the biblical view or the points. Okay? Without any, if I've not specified, it's always Proverbs 14. Okay? It says such a person is hated. That's what today's verse says. Because nobody likes a person who cheats you. Right? People always say, be careful about that person. I've known friends, I will tell them, hey, don't listen to that person, they'll lie. They'll come and ask you for money, don't give, because they'll never give it back. And they are not taking it for the right reason, they're actually cheating you. So be careful. You'll want very close friends, isn't it? So that kind of a person is hated. Someone who cheats either for money or otherwise. Okay? There is a movie, John Tucker Must Die. Okay? In English. It's actually this guy goes and cheats all these girls and sleeps with them. So all of them come back to take revenge on them. Revenge on him. And the title of the movie itself, he should die. So imagine they're all planning to kill him. Again, it's a very stupid way of taking revenge. Okay? If you take the movie, working 9 to 5 is also there. It's a very lecherous boss. And he exploits 3 of the women working there. And they again take revenge on how to get back at him and put him down and all that. The Tamil movie also came in that. These are extremes of taking revenge. But all of our movies, if you see, most of them are revenge. Right? So a person is hated when they do something to cheat you or deceive you, then generally tend to hate that person, right? I don't think you will love that person. You might forgive them, but you will still keep a distance, right? Again, the verse 2 of Proverbs 14 says, a devious person, because the one who comes up with wicked schemes is a devious person, right? Is one who despises God. A person becomes devious only because they despise or hate God. So you cannot say, I love God, and then go up with wicked schemes. Okay? They have no knowledge. They are dumb. Okay? Only because they think they are wise because they're coming up with these schemes. But the Bible says they have no knowledge, because it's only a calm person who obeys the Lord who has knowledge. And they are fools as they mock sin. That's what verse 9 says. But verse 9 also says, sin mocks them. So they are thinking, I can get away with this, without realizing there is going to be consequence, okay, for that sin. Verse 9 says they lack goodwill, the favor and blessing of God. Because verse 9 actually says, if you are, calm-hearted or sane or wise, then you will have the goodwill, the favor and blessing of God. So if you're the right opposite, you're not going to have all of this, right? And they are also arrogant and careless, because they feel nothing can touch me, and that's why they think they can get away with it, right? If you look at any of these accidents that are happening where the youngsters are driving really high-end cars and killing people, they have gotten away with so many things because the parents had money and power or influence. They thought they could get away with it. Now when they're caught, they're finding ways to come out of it. Okay, and they're careless. Again, they're not bothered about life, or they're not bothered about property of other people. They're only, again, selfish, looking at themselves. They lack knowledge. Okay, they invite ill health. Apparently, if you are somebody who does wicked schemes and ruses, you actually invite ill health. Doesn't mean because you're ill, you're wicked or whatever. No, but if you do it, there is a high chances you're going to get more illness. Okay? And they are overthrown through their very wrongdoing. That is what verse 32 says. So, what they are doing, it's like we say, what you do will come back to you. So, somebody else will come and cheat you. It's for sure. Earlier, it used to take a few generations before what you did happen. Now, it's almost, you do it today, today evening only it will hit back at you. It's not even wait a day. That's how fast it's coming back. Okay? And then Proverbs 6:18 says, someone who does wicked schemes runs quickly to evil. That means they're not running towards God, they're running away from God and towards evil. These are just a few verses I've picked up. I'm not even delved fully into the Bible, but this itself is scary. And for us, when people do things negative against us, movies will tell you, people will tell you, go take action against them. But God says, vindication is mine. So don't look to cheat people. Okay, whether it's for a promotion, whether it's for earning money, whether it's property, whether it's your name, whatever it may be. Let the Lord lift you up, because that is what is going to be permanent. Whatever you do to go up, you will come down just as fast, because you're using the wrong steps to go up. You're depending on the wrong things. So don't look to have ruse or wicked schemes, because what the Bible says about it is scary. Also, if you look at, right, if you try to do the wicked schemes and ruses to either vindicate yourself or to get what you think you should get in life, then you are depending on yourself. You're looking at the worldly way, not the Jesus way. And you're telling God, I can handle this better than you can. That's total arrogance and pride. So please don't look to ruse or wicked schemes. The world might tell you, the movies might tell you, your song lyrics might tell you, the books you read might tell you. What we need to read is the Bible, because that is the only book, the Word of God, that will tell us exactly what we need to do to live a prosperous, a blessed, and a happy life. Right? If you and I can go to sleep without having to worry saying, I cheated that person, I told this lie, will it all come up? I think that's the peace we should all strive for, rather than say, do I have so much money in my bank? Because a lot of people who are very rich are still not happy and peaceful. They're worried what's going to happen to the money. Someone who has a lot of talent is now wondering how many likes they're getting, how many people know them and stuff like that. But they don't have a life because they have to go out of country to even do shopping. Do we want that? Okay? So again, coming back to Jesus' commandments in Mark chapter 12, 28 to 31, when somebody asked him, out of the 10 commandments, which is the greatest commandment? He said, the Lord your God is one, and you shall love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, or life, and with all your mind, thought, understanding, and with all your strength. And the second commandment is, you shall selflessly love your neighbor as yourself. Now, if you have to follow this commandment, you dare not get angry. You dare not depend on wicked schemes or the ruses, because all of it stems from selfishness and lack of love or even hatred for people. So if we have to follow Jesus' way, it is to love God first, and if you have to obey God itself, we can't do that. We can't get angry, the human anger, and we cannot have ruses and wicked schemes. And if we have to follow this commandment of loving one another selflessly as ourselves, would we harm ourselves? At times we are harming ourselves with anger. So there was a snake which went into a carpenter's shop in the pitch of dark, not that it could see any which way, but the carpenter had left the axe or the cutting tool, a very sharp tool lying there. The snake slithered and the axe cut it a little bit because it went by it. It got so angry, it took its tail and hit that axe without realizing it was harming itself. And that's what we do when we are angry. Because we are not even realizing we are hurting ourselves. When we hurt people closest to us, we are hurting ourselves. And especially when it comes to families, I've seen this time and again where husband and wife fight against each other without realizing they are a family unit. It took me a long time to get there myself. But you are a family unit. You fight against the world and the spiritual battles together as a unit. You need to understand you are a unit as far as God is concerned. We look at the girl coming from another family, oh, she's an outsider. No. That is why the Bible says a man shall leave his parents and cleave with the wife, and they are a unit. The world sees us so differently. Even today I was listening to a talk show on dowry, and that girl is coming from a different thing. She'll take her time to adjust. And the girl says, you have to make me feel welcome. If you treat me as an outsider, I don't belong to my parents' house, nor to this house, where am I? Because a lot of anger is there which we show to our spouses, to our children. Our home is supposed to be the place that is happy, that is safe for us to be ourselves. If we have to put on a show in our very homes, what kind of a home do we have? I don't know who I'm speaking to today, but I never meant for this to be spoken, but this is something that was in my heart. So, as children of God, as families representing the family of God, let us show the world love. Let us show the world that anger is not the answer. And if we get angry, there is an absolute reason why we get angry. And it is important we know that we are not just doing human anger, we are not hurting each other, and we are walking in love. Love for God, obeying God, love for ourselves. I'm not saying self-love in the thing where we are selfish and keep it, but we need to learn to forgive ourselves. We forgive the world, we forgive everybody else, but don't forgive ourselves for the stupid mistakes we've made. We need to learn to forgive ourselves and love ourselves. Okay? And that is very important. So finally, let me close with, we need to choose wisdom over anger. We need to choose wisdom over ruses and wicked ways. And again, I'm coming to the definition of wisdom, which we've been talking from day one, which is ability to know good and bad, right from wrong, according to God's standards, not man's standards. Okay? And so we have to consciously choose wisdom, because our monkey brain is going to lead us to ruses and anger, but we need to consciously choose wisdom. We need to walk in love for God, for others, and for self. We need to walk in obedience to God and His word. And we've seen enough verses on ruses and on anger from the Bible and what it tells us. So we need to now stop saying I'm sharp tempered, oh, they made me angry, and choose to walk in obedience to God's word. We need to work on our anger issues with God's help. It's just because you decided tomorrow you're not going to wake up and say, no, I'm never going to be angry. Oh, you're going to get angry. You're going to get, and devil's going to bring you enough people to make you angry. Every second you have to choose to say, no, I am choosing peace. I am choosing to have righteous anger and not sin. And you have to let the Holy Spirit work in you. It's a struggle. Let me tell you, it has worked in my life. It's taken me years when I can say now, I am even tempered. Jed will laugh, but he will say, no, you get irritated. Yes, I do, but how I show it and how much I show is still in my control, okay? Choose the right way and not ruse, both for self and for others, okay? It takes the same, I don't know if you've realized this or not, it takes the same, if not more time, effort and planning to scheme, which you can instead use and put it to good use. Example I'll give you, right? There are people who don't study and do bit for exam, right? The amount of time you spent on writing that bit, you could have studied. Okay? And that's the best example I could think of. But that's what came to me when I, put this into place. Okay? And don't ever forget there are consequences of any action. If not today, one day you will face it. If not now, at the judgment day, you're going to give answer to all your actions. So be very careful. And let the fruit of the Spirit grow and mature in you, because it's love, joy, peace, patience or long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness and self-control. So if you have to have self-control for your anger, you need the fruit of the Spirit. And you need to let the fruit of the Spirit not just grow, but it also has to mature in you. You should see the change in yourself. People should see the change in you. And God looks at our heart, remember? You can say a whole bunch of things, but God looks at our heart. And when he looks at our heart, does he see the fruit of the Spirit, or does he see anger and bitterness and all of it, which we don't need? So choose wisely, choose wisdom over anger and ruses.